Greetings and welcome, people. I thought for one moment there I was going to have to abort this test ride. Started my bike up and it seemed like it was only running on 3 cylinders, which is a bit worrying. I don't want to start going through that sort of trouble again. It seems to be running okay now, so I'm just hoping it was maybe just a bit of dampness in the in one of the plugs or something. We'll see. But anyway, out on the road to test ride my bike to see whether I have stopped the back brake from warbling at me. It might seem a bit off to stifle the musical creativity of my bike in that manner, but when that musical creativity is stemming from something that could potentially be dangerous, or at the very least an MOT failure, then I'm afraid it cannot be allowed to persist. So, and also I now have to be quite honest and admit that I actually have been out on a previous test ride for this very self-same reason. To establish whether the back brake is now working as it should, as quietly as it should, and unfortunately on that previous test ride last Sunday I forgot to get my cameras running. Both the helmet camera and the dash camera were not running. Well, I suppose grammatically I should say neither the helmet camera nor the dash camera on the mirror were running. I'm such a genius. I thought I'd switched them on, but I hadn't. Well, I had, but I hadn't started them recording, so after about 5 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was set to, they just switched themselves off again. Yep, that back brake is definitely silent now. Well, compared to what it was before, it's pretty much silent. And the other thing I am doing on this test ride, as I did on the test ride before, is testing out a second point of view camera, not the dash camera on the mirror, this camera here, looking back at me. And I hope that sunlight behind me is not dazzling it too much. Now, I know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, look at this wonderful idea I've had, nobody's ever done this before, nobody's had a camera on the handlebar looking back at them, because I know plenty of people have done that for ages. But this is something that I decided last year I was going to do. I mean, I've had plans to do it before, just never got round to it. And yeah, it's hello. So it's something that, as I say, plenty of other motor bloggers have done, and plenty of cycle vloggers and things like that have done. So, say, nothing new, nothing innovative, just pretty much a first for me. So I'm hoping that it is pointing in the right direction. So you can all keep an eye on me, make sure I'm behaving myself, make sure I don't leave the office unexpectedly. I certainly hope that doesn't happen, because if I do that, that probably means something's gone terribly wrong. But as I say, this is just a short trip. I don't know how far it'll go, and obviously I'm a little bit wary now that the engine wasn't running perfectly when I first started up. Seems to be okay now. Like I say, I think it must have been, we had a cold night last night, well, we've had several cold nights, and this bike hasn't been run for a few days. And I think the the frost must have got into it somewhere, and as soon as it warmed up, it's okay. So basically I think it needs a good run to thoroughly warm it up and get everything going as it should be. And I think I'm going to filter past this blooming great JCB. Oh, nice toys for the boys. Wouldn't mind one of them. Yes, please. So yeah, that's nice and quiet now, nice and smooth. As I came to a stop there, I was on the back brake, and if that had been the old back brake disc, that would have been warbling away. So pretty much problem solved. Thank goodness for that. So now next step is to get this booked in for its MOT, which I'm sure many of my UK subscribers, or any UK subscribers, will know what that is, but people from outside the UK may not be aware. As I've explained before, it's an annual roadworthiness and safety inspection that has to be done on any vehicle from the 3rd anniversary of its registration onwards every year thereafter. So get that booked in, and hopefully that will pass. I can't imagine, I mean obviously I will have to explain to them that the back brake disc and pads are literally brand new, so if they get any anomalous low brake efficiency readings from the back brake, they will ascribe it to that, but the brake is functioning. So it might give a low reading because it's not properly bedded in yet. It might take 100 or so miles for that to properly bed in. So apparently that brake disc has an anti-rust coating from the factory, which obviously has to scrape off. It gets worn off by the brake pads, and not until that's completely gone will the full efficiency available be restored. Look, there's a siren somewhere. No, here we come. There we go. So yes, get it booked in for its MOT. Oh crumbs! Hopefully that will pass, as I say, and then it will be on to the next step, which I think I've already said that once I've got the MOT secured, the next step will be an oil and filter change. And then one thing I'd forgotten about when I last spoke about jobs that I may have coming up on this bike, I'm going to be replacing the swing arm. Now I can't remember if I've said that I think it was before the MOT last year, I did find that there was a little patch of corrosion on the swing arm web, the bit that reinforces between the actual left and right arms, and that patch of corrosion is directly below where the battery sits. And I think at some point in the past the battery breather tube that you have on normal liquid lead acid batteries normally routes down the seat subframe down through the swing arm to vent below the level of the swing arm. I think at some point in the past it may have been misrouted and ended up sitting on top of the swing arm, so fumes from the battery were slowly leaking onto that area of the swing arm, and over time it's eaten through the anodizing of the aluminium and caused it to corrode. And once aluminium starts to go, it's very difficult to stop it. So I patched it as best I could. It got through the MOT last year. As long as there isn't actually a through hole from the corrosion, They've said it's normally okay, but I did look out for a replacement swing arm, found one, and just need time to do it. I don't think it's that involved a job, because obviously you've got to take the back wheel out and sort of unhook all the suspension and everything, so I will get to that. The only drawback is that the replacement swing arm I bought is, while it's compatible with this bike, I believe, I won't find out until I actually go to fit it for certain, I'm pretty certain it is compatible. The only problem is it's black, anodized black. Now the one on this bike and the one that is correct for this model year is silver. So I am at the moment planning on spraying the new swing arm silver. So obviously I need a bit more time to get that done. Good grief, what's going on here? Well, I have come out at the worst possible time, school turning out time. So that is another job for later in the year. And as I know I have said before that I'm in that rather ironic position of needing good weather to do work on the bike. And most people who've got a garage or a workshop would, if there's a spell of bad weather, they just stick the bike in their workshop or garage and do whatever they need to do, service it, upgrade it, whatever. Things like that. I don't have that option. I need good dry weather. It doesn't have to be warm, as long as it's reliably dry, to get any work done that I need to do. And obviously something like the swing arm coming out, there's some quite high torque settings on some of those bolts, and I'm fairly certain that this swing arm that's currently in this bike has been in it since it left the factory. So I have replaced the rear shocks, the suspension unit, so those bolts won't be too bad to undo, but some of the other ones, like the main swing arm pivot and things like that, they're probably going to be fairly well in there. So we shall see. It might be the excuse I need to get myself an electric impact, a cordless impact driver. That should sort it out. So yes, second camera that you are watching from there. It's not a new camera. It's a... oh, this road is wonderful. Good. Why are we doing less than 30 miles an hour? What on earth are you doing? It's probably a learner. You shouldn't be out on the roads at this time of day. So yes, it's a camera that I've had some time, and in fact it used to live on the mirror over there where that one is now, until I retired it. One of the reasons I retired it was because I actually dropped the camera and one of the menu buttons on the side no longer works, but it's still perfectly functional. I can get through the menus. You can get through the menus with the menu down button, the lower button on the left hand side there, so that's not too much of a problem. But actually this camera is the one that I mentioned in my the blog that I did when I was sort of trying to give some words of advice to would-be moto bloggers, new motorists, new motorcyclists, about not worrying too much about having to spend hundreds of pounds on cameras to become a motor blogger. Because that camera cost me, I think it was about £30. I can't remember if it was just over or just under. It was on eBay, it was on a make a bid, so I bid whatever it was. Like I said, it was about 2 or 3 years ago now, so I can't remember exactly what it was. I could probably look it up if it's still on my eBay purchase history. And it's a 1080p 30, it's not a 4K or anything like that, it's just a Chinese GoPro knockoff. and the video quality from it is actually really rather good. I'm not claiming it's absolutely astounding. It's not going to be as good as a, oh goodness me, Drift or a GoPro 4K camera. Obviously it's a 1080p 30. You can't even do 1080p 60. It's limited to 1080p 30. But the quality is really, really acceptable. So, well, I hope you agree. So let me know if you feel like it. Just either drop a thumbs up if you think the camera, the quality from that little thing there is okay. Just be nice to know. Obviously, whether I decide to persevere with, oops, the road's a bit damp here. Careful, it's been in shade all day. Whether I persevere with a second viewpoint camera, I don't know. Obviously, it's going to make the editing a little bit more complicated. But I'm pretty sure it's nothing I can't handle, and certainly nothing my editing software and computer can't handle either. So I like the idea of that. Gives a bit of variety. I know you can't please everybody all of the time. Some people say they don't like cameras on the side of the helmet. Some people say they don't like cameras on the chin bar of the helmet or on the top of the helmet. Some people say they don't like cameras on the mounted on the bike itself. Obviously that one on the wing, on the mirror there, does give a sort of flying point of view, because obviously you can't see, say obviously, I do have some videos up that have got footage from that camera, but in that location you can't see anything of the bike or the rider. All you see is exactly what's in front. And some people like that, so, whoop, pheasant. So I just don't know whether I start to include footage from all three cameras. That's doable as well, as long as I can synchronize it all together. I would like to start including footage from different parts of the bike. I mean, I personally do quite like the shots from low down on the side of the bike, showing the front or back wheel, showing the suspension working and the steering working, that type of thing. I find those quite nice to watch. Not for too long, obviously. And obviously these ones, looking back at the rider, they add a bit, like I say, add a bit of variety. So there we are. Traffic is very busy. I think we're going to stop at Whiteways for 5 or 10 minutes, and I think I'll call that one a day. As I say, the back brake seems to be working, quiet. I like the way that camera sits there. It's nice and out of the way. I might try and get a smaller camera to fit there, because it is a bit, these ones, I think I'm on record as saying the GoPro style cameras I do find a bit blocky. I certainly would not have them fitted to the side or front of my helmet. They're much too bulky for that. So yeah, I might try and find a smaller one. I think there's a range of cameras, is it SQ12, SQ30? They're really quite nice. Tiger 1050. That might be my next bike. You never know. Give it a break for 10 minutes, and I'll say cheerio now. Thanks for taking a look. And a bit of a lean here. That's okay. I'll speak to you next time. Bye for now.